It's time for Remodel Revolution. And now, an award-winning contractor with over 40 years experience. Here is Alex Guthrie.
Welcome to another episode of Remodel Revolution. We're coming to you straight from the world headquarters of Remodel Revolution, deep in the heart of Texas. This is the podcast of no sports, no politics, and no mean people. That's why I have with me today my very good friend, Poonam J. Patel of Urban Loop Studio. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm doing great.
Did you have a good Labor Day weekend?
I did.
Did you behave yourself?
Absolutely not.
Good. That's the right answer. We have got a fantastic show today. Poonam's been working, as you know, on our series, Poonam's Pandemic Projects, and a big part of it has become, as we've developed it, how to turn your home into sort of a paradise of not only a wonderful place to have to be all day, but a place that has the right energy. And so we've been exploring some different design philosophies from different countries. Last week we talked to a wonderful lady in China. And today, she was in Quebec. We were talking about Chinese feng shui, I should say. This week, we have an amazing lady, and Poonam's going to introduce her right now.
Good morning, everyone. As Alex mentioned, this is another episode of Poonam's Pandemic Projects, where we help you guys tackle home projects one weekend at a time to help quarantine life better. So this week, I have been extremely curious about Vastu Shastra. Vastu Shastra is an ancient Indian practice of how to better live in your home with peace and harmony. And I have a wonderful expert to share with you today everything about Vastu. So help us welcome Dr. Vaishali Gupta.
Poonam, thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you so much.
And where are you today?
Well, I am in Delhi. I'm in India, Alex, and it's like 8:30 p.m. in the night here. I'm really excited to be here. It feels like early morning, bright and beautiful.
So I'm drinking coffee. You must be on a glass of wine.
At least, yeah.
I'm good with water, yes, but I'm really happy to be here today. Thank you so much for having me over.
Thank you. Okay.
Absolutely. So I want to ask you, how did you get into Vastu? What is it for beginners who don't know anything about it?
This is a very interesting story that goes back a long way. Actually, my father, he's a retired army officer. He was from the Indian military. And during his course of life as an army officer, he got posted to a lot of places. And, we happened to spend 2 to 3 years in every place. And, every time we had to move it into a new house. And even as a child, I realized that there were certain houses which were very positive and which were very welcoming. And, our family felt very nice there. And there were certain houses, which had a negative vibe about them. So as a child, I couldn't really understand, what was happening, the energies or anything like that. But I could sense that, there were some houses where there was a better physical health. Our emotional well-being as a family was much better. So, this foundation was getting laid in me, as a child that, the moment you embody a space in 4 walls, so it starts emitting a character, it starts emitting a personality, and, it starts having a vibe just like an individual person has. So it goes back a long way. And, I never knew at that time that I'll get into a profession like this. But, this whole belief that spaces impact your life, it got ingrained in me as a child, and I experienced this while I traveled with my father to various stations. So So that's it, and then finally, when I got a chance to get into Vastu, I believed in it so thoroughly because I had seen it in my life. So I decided that, this is my calling in life. And that's how it all began. So I started my journey as an interior designer. But 15 years back, I got into Vastu. And since then, this is the journey. This is what it's been. And I've been working as a Vastu consultant since then.
That's
Yeah.
so amazing. I couldn't agree with you more. I truly, a huge fan advocate of design. And, I truly believe that the environment that you live in impacts your life. I feel like it's no different from a womb. Your home is like a womb. It's like you want to feel safe and protected and feel nourished. So, what is it? What is Vastu?
Okay, so let me start from the very beginning. Basically, Vastu Shastra is a scripture. It's a treatise which is about 5,000 years old, more than 5,000 years old. And it talks about the Indian traditional system of architecture. And it talks about, it throws light on how to build spaces which are functional, spaces which are aesthetic, and spaces which also take the complete responsibility of the emotional well-being, of the physical well-being of the occupants who are staying in that house. And basically it is about making structures which make sure that the occupants who are staying in that house, they are ensured of peace, prosperity, and progress. And this basically is about creating structures which are aligned in such a way that they welcome the positive energies of the cosmos, and they kind of block out the negative energies of the cosmos. And this whole thing is achieved by the main basis of Vastu is the eight directions and their balance, and the balance of the five great elements: the earth, fire, water, space, and air. So like you can see in this slide that there are basically four cardinal directions: north, east, west, and south. And there are sub directions which are basically the confluential points of two main directions: northeast, northwest, southwest, and southeast. And these are the five great elements which are represented by every zone. Like northwest stands for air, northeast stands for water, and southeast for fire, and southwest for earth. And the central part, which is called the Brahmasthan, is called the Akasha or space. And even the human body is made up of five elements. Even the cosmos is made up of five elements, and so is our house. So Vastu basically talks about balancing, your personal energy with the cosmic energy by making sure that the Vastu of your house helps in that. It becomes a connecting link between the positive cosmic energy and your personal energy. So Vastu has a great impact, I feel. In my experience of 15 years as a Vastu consultant here in India, I've seen that it does have a great impact on the lives of people. Yeah.
And so, is the five elements that you speak of is is Vastu sort of trying to help us stay connected to nature, the earth, and cosmos through those five elements? Are we sort of sheltered and blocking ourselves from these cosmic energies and these elements, and we're just trying to make sure that those elements are incorporated in the home? Is that what that is?
It is about striking a balance. Like we just saw in the slide that there is every direction which is representing a particular element. Air is responsible for your emotional well-being. Fire is responsible for your health and your digestion, your gut health. That is all denoted by fire. Water is your immunity. Water is your cash flow. Earth element tells you about how much stability you have. How much depth do you have in your convictions. And earth element also rules the master of the house. So if you see, every element has a major virtue that it stands for. And in Vastu Shastra, while we are designing a house, we are basically aiming at creating a balance in these five elements. Now, for example, if we take an example that there is a plot, or there is a house in which the northeast part of the house is cut. The shape is such that the northeast part has gone missing. So that means the water element and the overall prosperity zone has gone missing. So when we do the vastu of that particular house or that particular plot, so we make sure that we we do something so that we are able to make up for the lost energies and the lost
Mm-hmm.
virtues of that particular zone.
Gotcha.
So that is how you create an elemental balance, and
Mm-hmm.
you make sure that every balance, every element is present in a balanced way in a particular dwelling. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And so, in our previous conversations, what do the planets, sun, and moon? What does all that have to do with our home?
I would say that Vastu Shastra is basically very scientific, and there are two energies which play a very important role in Vastu Shastra. One is the solar energy, and second is the geomagnetic energy. So, when you talk about the planets, then a sun is a very important planet, and solar movement plays a great part in Vastu Shastra. Like we can see in this slide, that when the sun is moving from east to west via south, it is giving out pranic energy from the east side, and it's giving out Jaivik energy from the north side. And these are both life sustaining energies, the east energy and the north energy, and also the energy from the confluential zone, that is the northeast zone. So what happens is that when the sun is moving from east to west via south, in the northeast direction, it is giving out early morning very positive ultraviolet rays. And as it moves towards the southeast, it gives out some harsh thermal radiations. And as it goes towards the southwest side, it again gives out very harsh radiations. So, Vastu always says that you should keep your north and east light and open. You must have a lot of openings there so that we are able to welcome in all the positive ultraviolet rays into our house. And also, traditional Vastu talks about giving all the underground water bodies in the northeast direction, because then the ultraviolet rays get absorbed in that water. And when you use that water on your body, or for anything else, then that water gives you a lot of healing properties. And also, that is why the planets, the sun, the solar movement is very important. And that is why we say in Vastu that you must keep your southwest blocked, your south and west blocked, because the solar radiations from that side are very harsh. And barring a few countries which are very cold and which need that kind of sunlight, so we try and block it out. So if we talk about planets, sun is very important. Then if we talk about moon, so moon in Vastu Shastra is supposed to govern the mind. And like we all know that moon creates tides in the ocean. It has the power to create tides in the ocean. And human body is also made up of 80% water. So we can well imagine the impact of moon on the water element in our body. And northwest is the direction that represents moon. So there is a very close link between the planets and the direction, and in fact, every direction has a ruling planet in Vastu. Like north is Mercury, south is Mars, east is Sun, west is Saturn, northeast is Jupiter, northwest is Moon, southwest is Rahu, and southeast is Venus. So in Vastu Shastra, we take it like this, that the planets have a great impact, and it works closely, in balancing the impact of planets also.
That
Yeah.
is just so fascinating. I mean, yeah, I think you could go weeks and have this conversation. Does this have any relation to Vedic astrology?
Absolutely, Alex. That's a very wonderful question that you've asked me. And Astro Vastu, I basically am an Astro Vastu consultant, because I realize that there is such a strong correlation between the directions and the planets. Every direction has a ruling planet, and like Moon is your mind, and that is why, and Northwest is the direction that stands for Moon. That is why people who have a problem of anxiety, or people who have emotional disturbances, which is related to moon in astrology, we strengthen their northwest zone, or we tell them that you should not be spending too much time in the northwest, because that's going to increase your anxiety and emotional turbulence. Or we put some kind of a moon yantra or a moon painting there to balance the thing out. So there is a very very strong relation between astrology and Vastu Shastra. And I feel, I mean, for myself, I can say that if you are practicing Vastu Shastra without complete know-how of the planetary positions and how planets are moving at that point of time, so it would be kind of an incomplete
Mhm.
consultation for somebody. So Astro Vastu is totally related.
That's very
Yeah.
interesting. And when you said that there's a lot of weird energy in the Northwest, just watch the news. Okay. Okay.
So we need to take a quick break, and I'd love to invite you back on to answer some more of my questions. We'll be right back.
The hardest working and arguably most important system in our homes is our air conditioning and heating system. It heats the air, it cools the air, and it filters the air. That's why it's so critical to have it checked and maintained by the very best professionals available. It's time to contact Total Air and Heat at totalair.com. Get that system pruned and tuned. If you want to have the very best experience, you've got to hire the very best company. Total Air's employees are honest, well-trained, and thoroughly background checked. I never have to worry about sending their technicians out to my clients' homes. Family owned and operated for 3 generations, Total Air and Heat has been a fixture in North Dallas for over 60 years. Total Air is a proud dealer of the Trane air conditioning systems, and you know how hard it is to stop a Trane, so give them a call at 972-881-0020. That's 972-881-0020, or contact them at totalair.com today.
Vastu Shastra is a philosophy in India on bringing balance to your life through your home. We've been exploring different philosophies around the world recently on our show to help you bring some comfort while you're stuck in your home during this pandemic and making, these amazing life changes. And we're all trying to figure out how to balance it and feel better about the situation that we're in. So Poonam has invited Dr.
Vaishali Gupta.
Thank you.
Dr. Vaishali Gupta.
Thank you. That was very helpful. And Dr. Gupta, thank you so much for being with us, and thanks for staying with us through the break. Where were we in our last break?
Yeah, so the next question, earlier you had mentioned that the Earth has a magnetic field. So how does that energy, the power that comes with the magnetic field affect the Earth and the tilt and all of that?
Like I said earlier, that there are two main energies which are taken into consideration. One is the solar energy, and second is the geomagnetic energy. So geomagnetic energy is very, very important, and these are actually magnetic field lines which are going outwards from the center of the Earth. And Earth behaves like a big magnet, like you can see in the slide, that there is a tilt in the Earth, and also there are magnetic lines which are being emitted from the center outwards. So Earth behaves like a big magnet, and the human body is also like a small magnet, which has a north pole, which is the head of the body, and the south pole are the legs. So in Vastu Shastra, we always say that while sleeping, you should not keep your head towards north. So what actually happens? Why do we say that? The magnetic lines, the magnetic field of the Earth goes from north to south. So if you keep your head towards the north direction, the magnetic field lines are going directly from your body. So that, does not let you sleep properly. And when you wake up in the morning, you feel very tired and you have a feeling that I haven't slept well. And also there is a lot of iron content in the blood, and that blood, the iron content starts getting pulled towards the north if you keep your head towards the north. And also I'd like to add here that that when you keep your head towards the north and you're keeping your feet towards the south direction, so the impact of the magnetic field of the Earth is really very high. And you, over a period of time, if you keep sleeping like that, you can actually have major health issues. So the magnetic field has a great impact, and so does the tilt of the Earth, like we saw in the slide. In Vastu Shastra, we always say that Northeast is a very potent zone, Northeast is a very positive zone. And that is because of this tilt of the Earth, the 23.5 degrees tilt towards the Earth, which makes the Northeast zone very, very potent, very magnetic, and very charged up. So it is said that, if you meditate in this area, and if you sit and do your prayers in this area, and you feel in the Northeast zone, you feel naturally, you feel very enthusiastic, you feel very positive. And you always say that you should not have the couple's bedroom here, because this is, like I said, a very highly charged up area. So Vastu is very scientific, and the magnetic field of the Earth and the tilt of the earth has a very, very important role to play in the principles of Vastu. Yes.
So earlier you had mentioned something about the iron content in our blood. What's the effect? What does that mean from a health standpoint? Why is it important?
Yeah, so basically what is happening is, that, okay, let me put it like this, that this is the north pole of our body. And when we keep the north of our body, our head towards the north direction, so we are putting like poles together. And like we know in science that like poles, they repel each other. So what happens is there is a repelling movement on the blood flow. And, over a long period of time, it has an adverse effect on our body. So that is why it is said in Vastu Shastra that if you keep your head towards south, then that is extremely good, and it is very good for your health also, and you have a good sleep. And when you wake up in the morning, you feel very fresh and bright.
Mm.
So yeah, so that's what I'm
Okay.
trying to come to. Yes.
So when you're putting your furniture layout together, I guess, in your house or your bedroom, this is this is how you're wanting us to be in touch with this.
Anybody can try that in their house, that if you see that your north and east is very heavy, and you are blocking the positive energies from the northeast, and your south and west is very light, then there is a disbalance of energy that is created according to Vastu. So what we suggest in Vastu is that if you can keep the south and west part, the earth part of your rooms, every room or overall in your house, if you keep your south and west heavy, and you keep the north and east light, then the house starts breathing better. The prana, the life force energy of the house starts rising, and that has in turn a very positive impact on your own well-being. So the whole concept of Vastu about keeping north and east light and south and west heavy is based on this, the basis of the magnetic field and the tilt of the earth. Yeah.
And so, what do you mean by heavy and light? Are you talking about quantity of furniture? Are you talking about windows? What does that
when you
mean?
when you talk Yes, so when you talk about heaviness, it is in terms of furniture also, and it's about giving minimum openings. So the moment you slot out a opening in a wall, so you are actually decreasing the weight in that area. So when we say that we should keep the south and west heavy, so we talk about giving minimum openings there, and also about placing heavy furniture towards south and west, and keeping the north and east light, and giving maximum openings towards north and east. And also, there is a concept in Vastu wherein a house is divided into 9 by 9 parts. And then there are certain grids which are very, very auspicious. And while we are designing a house from plot stage, so we make sure that even in the north and east, we try and give the openings in very, very auspicious grids. So yes. So what you asked me was that yes. So we keep south and west heavy by furniture, by keeping heavy furniture there, by blocking out the openings there, not giving too many openings, keeping lighter furniture towards north and east, and giving more openings there, if possible, in the auspicious grids. Yeah.
Understood. And so that's why northeast, southwest is so important, it sounds like, because of
Yeah.
where the sun rises and sun sets and the moon and the magnetic field. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. So Vastu Shastra basically has a scientific basis. And the time that it was, it started in India, people did not really have so much knowledge about the science. So it was, put up in more floral words and less scientific words, like Northeast is the abode of the god. So you should not keep it very heavy. Southwest is the zone of, the demons. So you keep it blocked. But basically what they were trying to say is, the infrared rays and the ultraviolet rays and the movement of the sun. So they tried to put it in simple words for simple folk to understand.
Hmm.
So yes, but actually, if you see the very basis of Vastu Shastra, which we understand now as modern, Vastu consultants, is very, very scientific, and it does bring in a lot of positivity in the house.
So what I understand, what I want to do next is offer some tips, some practical tips that people can do over the weekend to really help improve that energy and reduce anxiety and get better sleep. I've heard you already mention a couple in terms of where your head needs to be when you're sleeping, and you had mentioned something about anxiety earlier. What are some other things that people can do to help improve their lifestyle during quarantine?
Puram, absolutely. I can give a few quick tips here that, which are easy to follow and which are very, very effective. So I can give the tips according to zones and directions. So in Vastu Shastra, the north of northeast is called the zone of immunity, and the element that it represents is water. So if you place a small water fountain in the north of northeast zone of your house, that really helps in enhancing your immunity. So that is one quick tip, that one can do. Also, since in the lockdown and the quarantine time, a lot of couples are staying together, and there is a possibility that when you are staying together for a long time in one house, there may be a difference of opinion, slight disagreements or clashes. So if you're one of those people, who's
A
facing something
slight
like this.
disagreement. I'm sorry to interrupt you. A slight disagreement, like divorce court.
No, I chose the best words, Alex, to put this.
You're very
So,
kind. How much water needs to go in that pail?
A pool, a swimming pool.
so, so basically, here the tip is not about water at all. It is about the earth element. So, Vastu Shastra says that Southwest is the zone that gives you the skills for handling your relationships. Every relationship needs some skills to handle it. So, when you place, pictures of two white swans in the southwest corner of your bedroom or of your house also, so that brings a lot of stability in the relationship, and it gives you the skill to handle your spouse better. And also, one tip I could give for people, who are facing a lot of anxiety, who are having, sort of, worry about the future, that what is going to happen, some kind of anxiety, some kind of, emotional up and down. So Northwest is the zone that needs to be tackled here. And if you place a good Buddha painting in the Northwest zone of the house, you will definitely feel, a lot of improvement in your overall mental health. And last but not the least, in the southeast direction, which represents cash liquidity and the health of ladies in Vastu, you can, burn a small, light a small red candle in the southeast direction for some time during the night. And these are very simple tips, but they are very effective, as they energize those zones, and they bring an enhancement in the virtues that the zones represent. So these, I think, are a few quick tips that people can apply, really easily, and they're very effective.
Well, at least you didn't say baseball bats and.
Keep a baseball bat under the
Yeah,
bed.
yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us. And I'm going to go try some of these and report back to you later. How can people get a hold of you if they wanted to ask and learn more about Vastu Shastra?
I think, going to my website would be the best thing. My website is www.vaishaligupta.com, and that has the email address also, and that also has my phone numbers. And, people can get in touch. And I think that would be the best way to get in touch and contact. I'd be happy.
Thank you so much for staying up with us. It's nighttime where you are and coffee time where we are. Thank you so much. That has been really fascinating. I hope you'll come back and visit us again.
So much, Alex, and thank you so much, Poonam, for having me over. And I'm really delighted. Thank you so much once
Thank
again.
you.
All right. Thank you.
We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about some of the 10 biggest mistakes people make before they start their remodel. That was really fantastic.
She's great.
Yeah, she's awesome. We'll be right back.
Imagine this, a totally customized, organized, and beautiful master closet. A home office that fits right into a perfect space. A pantry designed specifically for your storage needs. Imagine your home totally organized. It's time to call the design professionals at Closets by Design DFW and turn your dreams into a reality. With a design staff over 30 strong, Closets by Design works directly with you to create your dream space, and they build it locally, helping support the DFW community. Check them out at dallas.closetsbydesign.com or call them at 972-361-0010. Use the promo code RRV to find out about the amazing specials and discounts available. That's dallas.closetsbydesign.com or call them at 972-361-0010. And don't forget that promo code RRV, Closets by Design.
We get all kinds of questions with people when we're going to start a remodel on a house. And we thought it would be a great time because there's a lot of energy right now going into remodeling and staying at home and staycations. And of course, our focus the last few weeks has been on that very subject, people that stay home. But we thought it might be an appropriate time to have a discussion about some of the biggest mistakes people make prior to a remodel. And Poonam thought this needed to be happening right now. Why? Do you have a remodel coming up, Poonam?
Well, I mean, people have questions, and there seems to be a scarcity of answers. And I feel like I spend a lot of my time providing education to people who call me who want services, and there's just a lot of learning and hand-holding that happens, and it just creates a lot of friction throughout the process of construction. And you know, sometimes I just feel like there's not enough answers, and so I want to be the person to try to, you know, fill that gap. So what we did was
I went online and it was quite simple. We went through and we Googled remodeling, and we came up with a list of the 25 biggest mistakes people make before they start a remodel. We're not going to try and do all 25. We don't have time today, but we decided to try and get through at least 5 or 6 of them this morning. And number one is starting a renovation too soon. Now, what that means, and this happens to me quite frequently, people will call me up and say, my husband started the bedroom. He tore out all the sheetrock, or he tore all the sheetrock off the ceiling, or whatever it is, or he's torn out part of it. And we realized real quick that we got in over our head. Can you come fix it? And that's called starting too soon. You're not ready. But there's also some other parts of starting too soon that are really important, and this has a lot more to do with you than me. And that's the design part and the pre-planning.
I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, think about it. When you go shopping for a car, there's certain decisions that you need to make before you even begin to discover which car you're going to test drive. And, you know, and if I use this as an analogy, you know, it's very simple. You want to figure out what the exterior is going to look like, what color. You want to know what the interiors look like. You want to know about what your price point is, what you can afford within that. See if you can afford any bells and whistles, you know, like the electronic roll down windows or like heated steering wheel. So you want to be able to
heated steering wheel.
Oh yeah, for the winter. It's amazing. So you want to know these things in advance, right? Like, what do you want? What do you like? And what is approximately your budget so you can figure out what can I afford within it. The same concept exists for a remodel. You want to make sure that you know what your budget is, so then we know what our parameters are. In the sense that, am I making recommendations for you for $60 a square foot tile, $1,000 a square foot tile, or do we need to go in the budget section, which is around $2 to $5 a square foot?
And this happens all the time. And I have a great story about a client that I ended up doing a nice project for. We're good friends. It went really well. But he called me and he found me on Better Business Bureau, and he called me and he said, I want to do A, B, and C. And I said, well, ultimately I got to the question, which I ask everybody that calls me, what's your budget? And he gave me his number, and I started laughing. What's so funny? Well, that's just the beginning.
Yeah, and that happens a lot. I get so many phone calls from people who say, you know, my budget's $5,000 or $20,000, and as much as I want to help them, I mean, sometimes that doesn't even cover the cost of the materials. You know, forget about the labor,
just the
forget
initial
about
design,
Yeah.
things like that. So you have to, it's a great call to make to the design professional or the contractor. Really, the contractor. I think the key element in this is the contractor, because ultimately the entire project kind of circulates around that person, because that's the management person. And so the design professional and the contractor and the homeowner need to get together first. And this is what we want to, let's just say we're going to do a kitchen. We want to do a kitchen. And we were watching HGTV. And they did it in a day. And
I'll hire them.
Yeah, right. And they changed all the doors, countertop. They did it all. It was amazing. No, that's not going to happen. That's a staged deal, but it looks like fun. Now, those days largely are over. You know, HGTV went through that years and years ago, and a lot of people figured out that wasn't actually the way real life works. But the point I'm trying to make is, if you have the contractor and the designer together with the homeowner, these are the things that get hashed out. This is pre-construction stuff. This is super important stuff.
Yeah, imagine cooking something for the first time without a recipe. So the recipe is essentially, in renovations, it's working with the designer, an architect, an interior designer, to come up with a plan that everybody is needing to follow. And so from there, then you discover what materials you need. So on the plans, it'll say something like, oh, we need tile here, we need cabinets here. But then there's another level of detail that follows, which has, you know, it's going to be shaker or, you know, flat.
Whatever the style is.
Yeah, whatever the style of door it is,
and
or
what
finish.
you're saying is that if you don't go through this planning, you end up with scrambled eggs.
Oh yeah, you do. You do. And then the other thing is that all of those materials, they need to be ordered and on their way and delivered to the site.
Yeah.
Because you don't want the contractors and the subcontractors to show up and not have anything to install. So plans, materials, all of that needs to be figured out. And that way the contractor and his subs and his team have a very clear recipe to follow.
Okay, so number 2 on this list is underestimating costs.
Ooh.
And this is a big one. And this is a common problem. And I don't even want to say, I don't want to call it, I don't want to label it a problem. I want to say it's part of the process. And it's not because you're underestimating costs because you don't know something. It's because you don't know what you're getting into in a remodel. The truth is, as I continue to say, your house was not built to be remodeled. And so when you get in there and you start tearing stuff up and removing things you can't see behind, that's when the surprise hits. And so underestimating cost has a lot to do with the team process, because the owner and the design professional need to get together and decide what quality they want, what the budget is, and how all that fits into the overall scope of the project. There are no great deals. So if you find a sink that's a $100 sink on eBay, or faucet, I'm sorry, I meant faucet. So if you find a $100 faucet on eBay that looks just like the $700 faucet at the local plumbing supply, it's not the same faucet, folks.
Yeah, the thing with plumbing fixtures is that you can get very cheap ones that are painted, and you'll notice that over time they chip, the paint chips.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're even made with plastic parts, and of course those are going to be more affordable. And then you have higher, more quality materials like Newport and Brizo that, you know, you could hit it with a hammer or something and, you know, the paint won't come off. Maybe it'll dent or something like that. And then what's that highest finish they come out with? It's like a Electrolux something. That one you could probably use as a hammer, but you get what you pay for.
That's the point. The point is that you get what you pay for. And I've gone through this ever since I've been in business a long time, that people want to compare apples and oranges in quality. And it's really my philosophy, really kind of with life, is I go with the what's been proven over time. And so I'm always comfortable with something I know has been there 100 years. And then, it's not that I'm skeptical of new things. I'm not afraid of new things at all. I love doing new things, but I'm a lot skeptical of people telling me this brand new thing's just as good as that old thing, because that old thing's been proven over time. And so quality is a very subjective thing to people.
Yeah,
Underestimating cost, which is what we're supposed to be talking about, has a lot to do with that, though. I mean, that's a big part of how we establish a budget, is the quality of the things that we're selecting. You have to make sure that you're realistic about the cost of these projects, because when it catches you is at the end, when you are running out of money and you need it the most.
Yeah, quality is so important. You know, I actually went to do a heavy deep clean. This is so embarrassing. Do a deep clean on our sink, and the ring hole actually deteriorated because the product that I was using was lime away. So I was trying to get some, gunk off of it, and the whole finish came off.
Really?
Yeah. And so quality is really important. And last point I want to make on that is reviews can be deceiving, because you're dealing with people from Amazon, shoppers on Amazon who are like, oh, this is cheap and it'll get here in 2 days. That's not exactly, in my opinion, a quality review. I tend to lean heavily on my vendors and their knowledge, and actually the specifications and the technical team behind those manufacturers to determine the quality.
Well, one of the reasons I said that it's a subjective thing is because people have different ways of deciding what quality is to them.
Yeah.
I mean, for some people, quality is the price. I got a great deal.
Yeah.
Some people are like you say, they're happy because they got it in 2 days.
Yeah, I tend to not look at reviews. I tend to look at the specifications.
Right. So we could have that discussion literally all day. But our last point we're going to have time to make is expecting everything to go according to plan. This is another mistake people make in remodeling. You are not dealing with black and white in a remodel. You are dealing with very, very gray set of rules. There are kind of like no rules. And so when you're going through the process of a remodel, you have to be very, very flexible on your timelines, and you have to be very understanding of the challenges everybody's facing to make a change to your house, that your house really wasn't built to be changed.
Yeah, I mean, renovations there, I agree with him, it's a gray area. What happens to me oftentimes is the client begins to finally see the walls come up and the building being built, and then they have certain realizations and decide that, oh, I didn't think about this, or I want this, let's get it in, let's incorporate this. And so
changing the plan, changing the scope.
Yeah, changing the scope and deviating from what was originally priced, scheduled, and planned for definitely yields a change in this, extending the schedule and the cost.
It really does. It really does. And it's part of the overall success of a project is the communication for these changes. And so if you have a good team around you, you have a design professional, a good contractor that is very communicative with you, and you're willing to talk, and you should meet often, then these things can kind of be ironed out as you go. But there are no magic wands here. No project goes perfect. That it just doesn't exist. I hear it all the time. Our project went perfect. No, it didn't. It didn't for somebody anyway. Anyway, this is all the time we have today to get to our tips. That was only 3.
Yeah.
We've got 22 more. So we have a whole lot to talk about. Thank you so much. You were wonderful today.
Thanks for having me.
And your guest was amazing.
Yeah.
And you're busy the next couple of weeks, so I have to live without you. But I'm gonna just beg you to come back when you're done.
Yeah,
and
I'll be
do some
celebrating
more.
my birthday, so
Yeah, that
see
takes a
y'all later.
week, right? Takes a week.
It's birthday month now.
Birthday month.
Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate it, and I appreciate On Air Media for hosting us today, and also Dr.
Vaishali Gupta.
God, I'm so glad you're here to say that.
I'm
she's-
probably butchering her name too. so-
Well, she is. She was awesome. She was wonderful and brilliant. And also, thank you to our audience. Now, check us out on Facebook. Go and like us. Go to Remodel Revolution on Facebook and become one of our friends and followers. Also, check out our podcast. I put it out on Spreaker, but we're on everything. We're on Apple. We're on Pandora, Spotify. There's literally, I can't think of a platform that we're not on. There could be.
And this is a video podcast, so if you
Yes.
prefer the video version,
Go to YouTube.
go to YouTube.
We are on YouTube, and then we of course, I replay them on Facebook as well. But go to our YouTube channel. It's Remodel Revolution on YouTube. And we look forward to seeing you guys next week. Thank you so much for being here with us, and thank you to our sponsors. Have a good week.
The views and opinions of this program are for educational and entertainment purposes only and are not intended to replace the recommendations of a hired professional.
You can catch Remodel Revolution anytime. Follow the show on the website, remodelrevolutionradio.com, or on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest, using the handle @Remodel Revolution Radio. You can always listen to the show on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and TuneIn, and watch the show anytime on YouTube.